Welcome back, everyone, to the No BS Real Estate Podcast, your listening how-to guide to the Australian property real estate market. I'm your host, Jo, and today I have some very special guests with us, Lisa and Damien, who are from the very great background of buyers advocacy, which I don't believe is talked about enough. And I'm so excited to get started and interview you guys. So Lisa and Damien, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Jo, thank you for having us.
Yep, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm so glad because all the work you've done with Orium Co, I absolutely love your approach. When we first met, I got recommended actually by another one of our partners, and he could not stop talking about how great the two of you were as a team. And I thought, okay, I need to meet. And I immediately got the same feeling, when we met. So I'm excited for this interview. And the way I like to run these sessions is to get right into it because listeners are eager to learn more about you. It's not about me. So
Absolutely.
Happy to answer.
All right, let's go rapid fire now. I'm just joking, but let's get started. My first question to you guys is, how did you get into buyers advocacy and what drove your passion, I guess, in this field? What drew you into it?
I'm happy
Over to you,
okay. So Damien and I have a background in residential sales. So Damien's got experience 30 plus years, and I was in the industry pre-kids and just after having kids for over a decade. So between us, we've got 40 plus years of experience. We met after I separated 5 years ago, and probably 6 or 8 months after we met, we had a conversation about the consideration of, oh my goodness, maybe we could start a buyer's advocacy, a buyer and vendor advocacy together. So the seed was planted, it was about 4.5 years ago.
Yeah, it was.
But I had this vision in my head that I was coaching, I was creating a podcast, I wanted a show, and I was like, okay, right now in the state that we're in, it's not the right time.
But I did, if I can interject, I did actually formulate with the old basic pen and paper a structured floor plan of what we needed to do to go from A to B.
Well,
but it didn't happen. But
it's always the way.
Down the track it happened. So yeah.
But I also have such a belief in timing. Yeah. So the timing of it wasn't right. It wasn't right in our relationship. It wasn't right in where I was, where Damien was personally. But when we decided last year, where it came to a fore, where I was like, okay, I'm now ready, and this feels so right based on who we are as a couple and as a partnership, and the combination of our skills, because we're both so different and we've both run businesses. We didn't want to do it on our own. I know I'm not great at the things that Damien's great at, and Damien would agree.
Yeah, that's it's the one thing that I was paramount to me. I didn't want to do it on my own, and it was finding the right partner combination. But I thought my partner in life would be perfect, but it was just a matter of time until that all sort of clicked into gear.
So the passion really comes from one, that we believe that we can offer a really unique experience to the people that we help because of our expertise and experience, but also because of the combination of skills. Damien's run an agency. He's been involved in managing people. He's sold hundreds and hundreds and bought hundreds and hundreds of homes and negotiated. I have also had background in residential sales, buying and selling all over Melbourne, but I've also got coaching experience. So I've spent the last decade before coming back in as a coach, really delving in and knowing how to ask the questions underneath the questions, which is what I believe is what I bring to the table, helping people really understand and explore what it is that drives the choices to ensure that they make really sound, solid choices where they do buy the property, whether it's for a home or investment property, that they can feel really good about, not just in the short term, but long term.
That's excellent. I really love that. The way your story comes together, it's so nice. Like, partners in life, partners in business, that's a really powerful thing because you are complementing each other's skill sets in so many different ways. And I think that's part of what makes a team really unique is, one person's got a strength in, like you said, you do the more coaching side, that bringing in that personality and that guidance to a customer, especially a home buyer who's like a first-time buyer. They're often the ones that need a lot of support. especially when they start the journey. And Damien, setting out that structure for the business and laying the lay of the land, super important. And with your customers, probably on the investment side, something that they would probably will flock towards as well. You know, so I think that's excellent. And it really leads me into my next question. I guess, what would you say is the most memorable experience either each of you have had, or maybe together, it's up to you, but what's the most memorable client experience you've had where you've gone either above and beyond to get them a property, or maybe it's a tough negotiation?
Something that we were talking about, because we went and had lunch and we were talking about just the different experiences, but one that I remember with so much like hand on my heart, I just really loved it, was working with a woman who had missed out on a number of properties. And when she came to, when we met with her, she was looking very specifically at a specific type of property in a specific area. And what I did was spend the time to really give her the space to ask the questions, to explore, as I said before, what was underneath what she was wanting. Like, what was that driver? What was the motivation? And what came out of that process, and it wasn't just one conversation, it was a couple of conversations, was she opened up her mind to actually, oh, maybe there's something that I haven't been looking at that I'd be willing to look at. And through that process, we ended up negotiating a sale on a property that was not what she'd been looking for, not in the area that she'd been looking at. And that's the sort of thing that excites me, because I love the fact that we give people time and the patience to open people's eyes to maybe possibilities and opportunities that they haven't previously thought about.
That's so valuable. I love that, because bringing people into, you know, and your role is really to open opportunities up, right? And often, as people, as nature has it, you know, we always have a preconceived idea or thing in mind that this is what we have to buy, this is where we're going to buy. But often, until someone comes in and asks those coaching type questions, like you said, to open up that discussion, is, well, why are you thinking of buying just there? Have you thought about here? That is exciting. I totally feel that. And Damien, do you have one in particular that comes to mind?
Look, I've always loved the thrill of doing a deal, and you know, whether it was from a vendor's perspective, my old traditional real estate days, getting the best price, but representing buyers to make certain they've bought the best they can. And there was one recently where, and there's a lot of expressions of interest in the market these days, which years gone by was traditional private sale and auction. And so being able to position our client in the process of, okay, there is interest in the property, but then it turned out to be there was multiple interest. So we went from expressions of interest to then another round of offers, and then into a boardroom auction situation. And so being able to secure the property with the client still having a little bit more in the tank and know that they bought well was, you know, it's satisfying. And so that doesn't just happen. It's knowing the lay of the land, the relationship with the agent, and being able to work and trust that the process that is in place is going to run through and be transparent, and being able to represent the client in the best possible way and get the deal is very rewarding. And so the goodwill that we get out of doing that is the key to our success.
It's so true. And I think the competition in the market at the moment is very fierce. Nearly every property transaction has more than 1 to 2. Like, if you're competing a lot of the time. And I think having that support in your corner, like you said in the story you told, having that relationship with the agent is important, because agents have quite a different relationship, real estate side, with a buyer as opposed to a buyer's advocate. They tend to present different. And it's that difference in the market that just makes, you know, your buying power completely different. It gives you a big edge.
And it's interesting because it's something that we are seeing. We were only just talking about this at lunch today, is how many buyers, and we're all like, you know, and this is no slight on people that are looking to buy, but every agent will have a different process when they're selling a property. And unless you know what questions to ask and how to read the play, then you're potentially, and we're seeing this, people are missing out on properties because one agent might say, okay, we're going to sell a property before auction. The process is its highest and best offer. This is a cutoff date and time. But then we've just dealt with another one, which is fully transparent, and the agent is sharing transparently the offers with the other buyer. Now, unless you know the questions to ask and actually are fully aware of it, you're not in an empowered place to make a choice.
That's so true. That is very true. And it can be quite difficult, quite challenging for a buyer to navigate that without the right support, in my opinion. So
we just on that, Joe, we had a meeting with a client or prospective client last Thursday night, and without mentioning obviously names or whatever, but they're looking at buying a fairly substantial family home, and his educated opinion was that you basically you give the agent your details, but you don't express any interest in the property. You hope to get back to you, and his wife was almost like you could feel the tension in the air. She wanted our assistance, but anyway, so often a lot of our clients have had they've endeavoured to be successful in the mirror of the property game. And it's only through the trials and tribulations that they go through and haven't been successful that they look at another alternative. And we're very fortunate to have having the experience that we've had and being on the other side of the fence. We know, we're not here to say that we know everything, because we're always learning, and that's the beauty of what we do. Every day is different, but we know a lot of what goes on, and that's key. It's being able to put your clients' interest at the forefront of what we're doing, and establish a relationship with the agent that's representing the vendor, and try and massage that and do a deal at the end of the day.
Absolutely. And I think you like both as a team, you have such a unique standpoint because you do that vendor advocacy side as well as the buyer's advocacy side. So what it means is that you have a very clear handle on how to navigate that buyer through a home purchase, because you're already dealing on a vendor side as well in other transactions. So I think that's so unique, and it actually ties into a really my next question, which is I would love for you to walk through what a buyer can expect from the process. So how does a buyer, like when you first meet a client, what's that journey typically look like, and what steps do you take them through?
The first of any process is connection. Do we have a connection with that client? Because if we don't have a connection, we have a really solid network of people that we trust and will refer. So that is the first point, connection. So once we have a connection with somebody, we will sit down and explore, because we do not have a cookie cutter approach. We're very much about, which is why we say innovation is very important, because every single client that sits in front of us is entirely unique to them. The situation is unique, who they are is unique, what they want in life, what their desires, their aspirations is unique. So the process starts with a very thorough, which is where the coaching comes in primarily, like to really understand a person's drivers, and then to map out a plan as to what the parameters are as far as what they're currently looking at, what they might, what they might explore, areas, price point, really also
what they want to achieve at the end of the day, isn't it?
And ensuring that they have the network of professionals around them to support them, i.e. a buyer's advocate, for example, the conveyancer, a mortgage broker, they've got their finance in place. So it's really that we want to ensure that they have all the ducks in the row, so that if we were to find a property tomorrow, which we're not saying that would happen, but they're in a position that we could submit an offer in on their behalf. And so once that happens, we then go to the market. So we look at properties, whether they're off market or on market, and there's different tiers of we offer a full comprehensive service that is everything. Or we look at what's currently on the market or coming onto market. We'll shortlist properties. We will go and source those, and we'll go and look at those and inspect them, and then we'll come back to them and present them. And then in that case, that's when our clients will come and look and inspect those properties, and and then we'll obviously have done the due diligence. looked at comparable sales to ensure that whatever price that we are recommending or we're advising on is a match to what is currently being expressed by the agent that's advertising it. And then all of that, all the way through to negotiation on terms and price and until it's sold.
Settlement. Yeah. I'm big on, if I could just interject, that in this world that we live in today, on the back of COVID and whatever, what we're doing now, the Zoom and everyone's busy. I'm a bit old school, old fashioned. In a perfect world, I would love to meet any potential client face to face, whether it's over a coffee, glass of vino, water, whatever it might be, but just get a feel for what they want to accomplish. And more importantly, get a feel, can we work with them? Do they feel comfortable working with us and what we offer? And you know what I mean? So, because, not everyone's, suitable for everyone, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so I think,
absolutely.
And if I think what they want to achieve in terms of their property journey is probably not quite possible in their time in life at this particular time, I'll tell them, I think you need to probably look at it in another 12 months' time. And so it's all about not wasting their time or ours, obviously, but giving them the best advice we can.
I think that is so undervalued these days, the component of giving that honest feedback. And sometimes it can be hard feedback, to deliver to someone who does have that aspiration for home ownership. You're not necessarily telling them it's not possible, but there's more time that's needed. And I think that it's so valuable to be transparent with those customers, because you don't want to set false expectations or, take them on a journey or a ride that doesn't eventuate and is going to draw out for 12 plus months when that's probably not what they're hoping for. So I think that's a great quality.
And it's not good karma. If you're going to take somebody on and you're going to accept an engagement fee, because there is an engagement fee for us to go to work to source a property, we're not in the business for that, because our business is very much we really do base our business on people talking about us, referrals and repeats. So that's really predominantly where our business comes from.
Absolutely.
Or has to date. So doing the right thing by people. I said this to my son the other day. He asked something and I said to him, if you do the right thing by people, you can't not succeed at life and in business.
That's a great message. I love that. I couldn't agree more. Good karma always comes back to you at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And we're coming to the end of our episode, and I'm spewing because I'm really enjoying this chat. So my last question to you guys, and I think this is really valuable, I love this question, is what advice or tip can you share with home buyers who are about to set out on their home buying journey, or maybe they're halfway through and they're one of the ones that feel a little bit lost or down on their luck after missing out?
Do you want to go for here?
What I would recommend is make certain, 100% certain, that your finances are in order, and then you've really got an ability to pay that 10% deposit, because we've had this conversation with potential clients where they've recommended 5% should be enough. I bought another property on 5%, or someone that I know around the corner, whatever. So being I suppose having everything working in your advantage and with your deposits and your settlement dates and having all the artillery in your favour to be able to use to negotiate is key, and it helps us. So once that's all in place, and then it's really a matter of, as I said, if you think you can work with a buyer's advocate that it's got something to offer, then it stands you in good stead, doesn't it?
Well, at least have a conversation. But I think the thing is, what I would suggest is, if somebody's, let's say hypothetically somebody's started their buying journey and they haven't had success, is to, a lot of us are conditioned to think that we can do it, we're capable, and most, there's no slight, but I'm not capable at everything. So if I'm not achieving the result that I want to achieve on my own, I've now learned at the age of 53 that if I'm not achieving the thing that I want to achieve, that I need to engage someone that's going to help me achieve that. And so that's not necessarily to say that you have to engage a buyer's advocate. So this is not a sell job on us, but it's sitting down and going, okay, I'm not having actually great success. What support do I need around me, and who do I need to engage in order to have me realize the result that I want to? Because in 12 months' time, how would I feel if I'm still in the same boat? I've missed out on X, Y, and Z more properties, and time is our most precious commodity. So I've lost time. How much has it cost me in all my other resources? So they're the things that I would encourage people to consider.
And I think timing is crucial, Jo, in a market that's quite volatile.
Yes.
Melbourne has, obviously, we've been through a phase of interest rate rises, 13 or 14 of them. So I think we're almost at the end of that, so into next year. The new CEO of the NAB predicted last year that interest rates will start to taper off and drop. So, if you are out of the property market, say, for the next 12 months, with where we stand here today, we're having the same conversation in November 25, I absolutely, hand on heart, believe you'd be paying more. Absolutely.
Those are some, thank you so, both of you, so much for sharing those thoughts. I think it's I tell you why it's my favorite question, because we're so passionate about our service industries and what we do. And, sometimes that little bit of advice, that guidance, someone didn't know they needed to hear it. And I hope that our listeners today heard something that resonated with them, and it encourages them to book a time to chat with you guys. So thank you both so much. I've loved having a catch up, and I'm sure there'll be many more to come in future. So thank you again for being on our show.
Jo, thank you. That was such a great conversation. You're very good at this.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, you guys, thank you everyone for tuning in today. It's been fabulous to have both Lisa and Damien. Don't forget, you're listening in our Abodi app, so please book in a chat to chat with Lisa and Damien. It's free, no obligation for the first one, and have a conversation about property. Understand what your goals are and have that coaching discussion with them, because it might just help you on your journey. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We look forward to talking to you next time on the No BS Real Estate Podcast. Thanks for joining.